The Israel-Hamas war has escalated and it has now entered day 42 today. The IDF operations in the Gaza Strip continue overnight with fighter jets targeting Hamas sites and troops battling Hamas gunmen. The IDF said that it carried out airstrikes against many of these Hamas sites, including weapon storage facilities as well as against terror operatives, corroborating the claim that Hamas is exploiting hospitals in Gaza and using them to facilitate their terror activities against Israel. The IDF has now released more visual evidence. Take a look at these visuals that we're playing out for you on the screens. The IDF has released these visuals of the Hamas terrorist tunnel, and this is inside the Al-Shifa hospital. A hidden booby-trap vehicle containing explosives has also been discovered by the Israeli troops. The video shows that assault rifles, grenades and Hamas uniforms were also found in the duffel bags that were hidden in the MRI rooms and other parts of the hospital. The second hospital is the Rantisi Hospital, which is a children's hospital. The IDF troops have unearthed another secret tunnel of Hamas here. This underground Hamas command center is located right underneath the children's hospital. And let's talk about the third hospital now, which is the Al-Quds hospital. The IDF has found large amount of weaponry and ammunition, and this has just been discovered in the past 24 hours. In the past, the IDF also claimed that the Hamas terrorists armed with rocket launchers had attacked Israeli troops from the entrance of this very hospital. Listen in to the Israeli president reiterating the claims.
Hamas has placed command and control centers under the hospitals. And from there, they are shooting and killing our citizens. But underneath, in the cellar, in the basement, there is a war machine with missiles, with weapons, with the entire command and control. From there, they sent these barbaric terrorists to go into Israel. From there, they brought the hijacked and abducted civilians from Israel into those premises.
So let's give you a better understanding of what the situation is like. Remember, time and again, Israel has been called out for attacking these hospitals. And very clearly, as the visuals show, these hospitals are only being used as a terror base. And this is where it is. This is the Al-Quds hospital. It's located right here. And this is where the Al-Shifa hospital is. And another hospital here as well that we are seeing. And these are the hospitals from where many of these rocket launchers have also been fired towards the Israeli side. So at the outset, it looks like these are just hospitals where there are several patients, innocents as well. But as the Israeli soldiers reach these hospitals, that's when they realized, as they've been saying time and again, and visuals very clearly show now, that these hospitals were used as the basis, terror basis for the Hamas terrorists. Right below these hospitals were the terror dens of the Hamas terrorists. So the question being, who is using the innocents as shields? Now, while the fierce operation is underway, the Israeli troops have also claimed that protection of Palestinians remains the top priority, while ensuring that patients and the staff inside the Al-Shifa hospital do not come in the crosshairs. Now, it has transferred incubators, 4,000 liters of water, 1,500 ready-made meals and other medical aid to the Al-Shifa hospital so far. So let's speak about what the situation is like on ground. Joshua Huntman, strategist advisor to the hostage families and former advisor to the Minister of Defense, also joining us on the broadcast. Thank you so much for joining us. No one better than you to tell us what the situation is on ground. We've been playing out the visuals that have been released by the Israeli Defense Forces right now as well, as we just played out. Many of these at the outset looking like plain hospitals where people are getting treatment. But as the Defense Forces reach there, it turns out to be a terror den.
Well, unfortunately, this shows the true face of the enemy. Hamas not only came into Israel on the 7th of October and committed some of the greatest atrocities since World War II against the Jewish people, coming into our homes, ripping our babies from our beds, kidnapping, butchering, raping and massacring. But they also take their own civilian population as a type of hostage themselves. They put their terror dens, like you said, their terror headquarters underneath the hospitals. They build their networks of terror tunnels underneath the mosques and the schools and under civilian homes. They store their rockets and their RPGs and their AK-47s. I would call it cynical, but I believe it's more than cynical. It's pure evil, and this must be defeated. Let me remind you, this is a war that we did not want. This is a war that was waged upon us on the 7th of October. We had a ceasefire on the 6th of October. We've been dragged into this war, and it's a war that they are fighting in a very dirty, dangerous, and like I said, evil manner. And we have no choice but to win. So October the 7th cannot be repeated ever again.
Okay. What do you say of some of the staff members of these hospitals who have also come out and said that they were not aware of any such operations taking place from the hospital? They say that these are just civilian hospitals and nothing else. And this is despite the visual proof available. Some have come out to say that, no, this is just propaganda.
So like you said, the pictures speak for themselves. But let's also understand that Gaza is not an open liberal democracy. It's not a place where people can just speak their opinions. We've seen videos, and you can Google. There was a famous Al Jazeera interview just 2 days ago where one of the patients said, there are Hamas fighters walking around here. Why are they in here? Why are they using us as human shields? And the Al Jazeera correspondent shut him off very quickly. The fact is, in Gaza, you can't speak your mind freely. If you come to Israel, and I know your correspondents are here, you can ask 20 people in the streets and you'll get 20 different opinions. Like in India, it's a democracy where one can speak their minds. Unfortunately, Gaza, under the totalitarian autocratic rule of Hamas, you cannot speak your mind. And the poor doctors and nurses, and indeed the patients, are petrified, because if you speak up against Hamas, you will receive a bullet in your head. And therefore, we cannot believe the statements that Hamas are putting out as propaganda, nor can we believe the statements that, like I said, the victims, and really the doctors, nurses, and patients are the victims of Hamas, just like the Israeli civilians are the victims of Hamas.
Okay, I want to ask you about those who are questioning Israeli Defense Forces. Before that, we want to show something to our viewers. Troops from the Israeli Defense Forces have also claimed that they found Hamas rockets that were hidden under a little girl's bed and anti-tank missiles inside a baby stroller at a home in Beit Hinu, which is a city that is located on the northeastern edge of the Gaza Strip. The video that was shared by the Israeli Defense Force shows a room that had a sign on the door that read, "Baby girl." The IDF has also released an audio allegedly of 2 Hamas terrorists talking about using a baby stroller to transport weapons. Listen in.
سامعك اصبر شوي خليك على الموجة. ايش اللي وصلك انت؟ المفروض الضروع بس الحبات القدايف هن تمام. هن اللي وصلنا استلمت. طب كيف شاب يصل لك يقابلك عشان الغرض؟ متى هو بيتحرك؟ العشاء على اساس انه يقدر يتحرك فيه لو جاب كروسي معاه كروسات صعبة شيء يقدر يتحرك. سامعك اصبر شوي خليك على الموجة. ايش اللي وصلك انت؟ المفروض الضروع بس الحبات القدايف هن تمام. هن اللي وصلنا استلمت. طب كيف شاب يصل لك يقابلك عشان الغرض؟ متى هو بيتحرك؟ العشاء على اساس انه يقدر يتحرك فيه لو جاب كروسي معاه كروسات صعبة شيء يقدر يتحرك.
So we've seen undeniable proof. Here you have the audio talking about baby strollers being used for transporting weapons. This is the extent to which Hamas is even ready to go. Mr. Joshua, I want to ask you, as we play out these visuals, there are still many others, despite the proof that's available, that continue to question Israel. And we're not just talking about a few people here and there. From the UN humanitarian chief to the WHO, there are concerns that have been expressed, appeals that have been given out to Israel, saying that civilians are being targeted.
Well, let's be clear. The scenes of suffering on both sides are heartbreaking, truly heartbreaking. Nobody wants to see this. However, like you have said in your report, we are fighting an enemy that not only comes and shoots our babies in our cots and in our beds, but they store their weapons and their RPGs in their cots and in their beds and in the homes and the bedrooms of their children. Unfortunately, we are fighting an enemy that knows no boundaries and will take every precaution. While we take every precaution to protect our civilians, they do everything to put their civilians in harm's way. And you know, it's important to emphasize the people of Israel want peace. We want to live our lives. We were like just like the Indian people. We want to watch our sport and our football and our cricket and live with our families. But only once the enemies of peace are extinguished can we look towards a future of true peace. As long as we are fighting an enemy that has promised to carry out these attacks over and over again and search our citizens in their homes to take them out and massacre them, only once they're extinguished can we look forward to a brighter future.
Okay, very quickly, I also want to ask you when and what is going to be the end of this war?
So it's an excellent question. And I think the international community is going to have to play a big role in whatever happens next. Like I said, the enemies of peace, the jihadi organizations who have been running the Gaza Strip cannot go back to their positions of power. We cannot have a situation again whereby we have an enemy promising to carry out yet another October the 7th massacre. We cannot have this situation. We need to work with the international community, with the moderate Arab states, Egypt, Jordan, the UAE, Bahrain, Saudi Arabia, with the United States, with friends like India, and start to build a new future together, a future of peace-loving nations, a future of brotherhood and sisterhood, whereby the other side of the fence sits a government that is de-armed, disarmed, and that is working with the international community and with the state of Israel to build a brighter future for the citizens on both sides.
All right, our heart goes out to the innocents. It's a difficult time for Israel. Mr. Joshua, thank you so much for joining us and bringing us your thoughts and the expertise on the matter. On that note, we're slipping into a very quick break here. We'll be right back.